Hi, my name is Chris and this is Battle Nonsense. Coming up today are news and infos about what you can soon see in Battlefield 4. DICE LA developers are very busy doing tons of changes in the community test environment. On June the 25th we received patch number 5 for the gameplay initiative, and I'd like to tell you and show you what it includes as well as what else you can expect to come out of the CTE in the future. A lot of these changes are still work in progress, so they might change a bit until they are included in a patch for the normal version of Battlefield 4. So just keep that in mind. So let's start with the chats. If you ever tried to play Top Gun in Battlefield 4, you surely encountered the issue that when you fly too high, you get stuck in the ceiling of the map. Many times there was no way to recover the chat from that. This is no longer an issue with the changes in the CTE. When you get near the ceiling, you start to notice this, because the chat starts to shake. If you continue to climb, then your plane will get in a stall. This means that your nose will go down and you are in a gliding flight. It takes a few seconds for your engines to come back, but then you can continue to fly normally. So while playing Maverick, you also want to look backwards to see if you have someone on your tail. This is very easy now. Just press C to go in the external view and then press the right mouse button and bingo! You can look what's behind you. When you do a roll, then the camera will roll with the chat. Unless you don't want that, then just disable it in the options and it stops doing that. And as you have surely noticed already, you now got a reticle in the external view, which makes aiming much easier. To keep it visible against bright backgrounds, DICE is experimenting with a drop shadow effect. This video shows the first version of this, but they already have a better version, which will be included in the next CTE patch. DICE also fixed aiming bugs where the point you aimed at were different for the cockpit perspective and for the external camera perspective. They also fixed the issue that you could not unbind the free look key, so now you can. DICE also fixed the issues in the Su-50 that you didn't hear the bullet impacts from the mobile anti-air, as well as that the ECM jammer used the animation from the flares. That's really a nice amount of changes DICE created there for the chats, but they are not finished yet. As they said in the CTE forums, we might also get better joystick support as well as a reworked flight model or flight physics. Another new feature we get is the vehicle field of view slider for the external view. The field of view of the cockpit perspective remains unaffected by these sliders. Now, I'm more a helicopter pilot than a jet pilot, and I can't wait for DICE LA to turn their attention to the helicopters, especially the attack helicopter. Because I'd also like to see the reticle added there in the external camera, as well as the camera position tweaked, and I also would like to have that back-facing camera jets have got, because when I'm piloting the helicopter, I'm also sometimes interested in what is going on behind me. In addition to the general changes and tweaks we will get in the future for helicopters, I also hope that we will get an additional advanced flight mode, which when enabled, then is more like what flying in the old Battlefield titles was like. This means that even just keeping the helicopter in the air will require a lot of practice and skill, but you will be rewarded with greater maneuverability and the ability to fly maneuvers like loopings and rolls, which are great as evasive maneuvers. A really annoying feature of the game is the hit animation. You know what I mean. You shoot someone and he starts to do crazy breakdance moves. This does not only look very strange, it also makes aiming harder, especially if you want to hit his head. That head flinching has been reduced, as you can see in the comparison video above. I hope that it gets reduced even a little bit more, but what you see here is already a nice improvement. Since the very first time when I saw Obliteration gameplay footage, I said that it is a horrible idea to have the bomb carrier show up the whole time in real time for every single player on the entire server. DICE said that this is a competitive mode, but how should that be competitive? Now DICE LA did something about this, and the change they did is that when the bomb carrier is on foot, then you will see him for some time like always, but then the icon disappears. After some time it shows up again, and so on and so on. But when he is in a vehicle, then the icon will show up constantly like always. Does make sense, because he can then get to an objective quite fast. However, I am not sure if that is really good enough. My suggestion was that if the bomb carrier really has to show up automatically, then this should work like old radar. This means that you don't see in real time where he is running. Instead, every 15 seconds you see where he is at this point. The icon will not move. It will not follow him. During the next 15 seconds the icon will slowly fade away until it shows up at its current position. So you know where the bomb carrier is at the moment the icon position gets updated, but you don't know where he is between two updates during those 15 seconds. In my opinion, this would make the Obliteration game mode much more competitive, interesting and thrilling. Another nice change they did for the Obliteration game mode is that when you are in a vehicle and the bomb carrier jumps in, then you get a notification that you are now the driver of this VIP of the bomb carrier. So I hope that DICE is not done yet with the Obliteration mode, because it could really be turned into something quite unique and fun to play, as well as competitive to play. Every one of us has been killed at least once by players you could not see because they were concealed by the flag icon, a revive icon, other players' name tags and so on, right? The amount of icons and text we have on our screens is just insane. And DICE LA has decided to do something about it. Yay! So they have started a small initiative which is all about improving the head-up display. But the first step they take is not about decreasing the amount of information on our screen, which often causes problems. The first change they introduced is about helping you to find out if you can revive a teammate or not. You surely know the problem. You run to a teammate, you want to revive him, but either it took you too long to get to him or you were recharging for too long. Well, soon you will see exactly how much time you have. This was actually suggested by someone from the community many months ago, and it is working very well now in the CTE. Maybe this even encourages players to revive more, because now they know if they can make it in time or not. Now, this does not really help to reduce the amount of icons and informations on our screen. It actually does quite the opposite. How to reduce the mess of icons and text on your screen is currently discussed on the CTE forums. There are a ton of great suggestions and I can't wait to see what the developers will do about it in the future. This is really one of my biggest issues with Battlefield 4 at this point after the netcode. So in patch 5 the developers continue to tweak the rush layouts of the maps that are included currently. Based on the testing and feedback they did more changes to Savot 3.1.1 and we got Operation Locker in Rush as well for testing now. On Savot many small changes and adjustments were done. AT emplacements were moved and removed, same for battle pickups. The biggest changes are that the attackers will get the transport chopper at base 3 and not base 2 now. The attacker's MBT was replaced by an MREP and the AAV was replaced with an IFV. The defenders on the other hand now have an MBT on base number 3. I'm curious how this will work out. There might be more changes until these new rush layouts go public. Operation Locker also received some interesting changes for its rush layout. Nothing really major. They mainly moved objectives and spawn points and cover a little around. In the little time I tested this, I think I did feel that these changes do help a bit. But the nade spam on that map, it is just insane and frustrating. Especially because even if you have people that use the ballistic shield the way it is meant to be used, it only takes one nade and you are all dead. DICE has to do something about that nade spam once and for all. If they manage to fix this, then even Operation Locker can be a fine, interesting and fun infantry-only map in Conquest and Rush. But with that nade spam, I can't see that happening. So there are really a lot of changes that were done in the CTE recently and will be included in a patch for the public version of Battlefield 4 at some point, but maybe, as I said, this is all work in progress in a bit a different form. But what I've showed you and told you here is not all that is worked on. The developers are working on other things of which we know a little, as well as things which they didn't tell us yet. Netcode is still a topic. The developers are trying to find the source of the server degradation problems. They are also working on the suppression as well as the visual recoil. But as these might still get some very big changes in the near future, I didn't include a detailed explanation in this video about how they are working at the moment, because this info might be outdated in a few days when the next patch arrives in the CTE. Besides Rush, the developers also have a few ideas for tweaking the conquest layouts of some of the maps, including the airspace dimensions, which is still very small on some maps. If you have watched other videos on my channel, then you do know that I'm skeptical and critical. I give praise very rarely, only when I think that it is deserved. And for the community test environment, I really have to thank everyone who was involved to make it happen and everyone who is actively participating. To see the developers watch our video footage, read through the suggestions and feedback in the forums, get answers from them, and the developers requesting even more feedback and actually see our suggestions and feedback become implemented into the game is just incredible. They are also not afraid to do larger changes and potentially turn a few things upside down if they improve the game. This is what you have been dreaming to get for so many years now. So a big thank you to every single one who is working in the CTE to make the game better. We are really grateful for that and we hope to see that the CTE continues for a very long time for Battlefield 4 and other games. I think that it has really proven to be a great environment for both the studio and the community. And I think that this praise is a good way to end this video. Please let me know in the comments if you like the format of such a news and info videos for the future. If you want to reach me, you can do so on Twitter and by email, the links are in the description. Please consider to hit the subscribe button if you like my content, and I will hopefully see you next time. Until then, have a nice day and take care. My name is Chris and this was Battle Nonsense.